When replaying The Wind Waker recently, it really struck me how well this game has aged. I think this game could literally come out tomorrow and it would have an amazing reception, despite the fact that the game is nearly 15 years old. Now, I wasn't playing the HD remake on the Wii U either. I'm talking about the original on the GameCube. The cel-shaded graphics, which had a mixed reception on release, now blend right in with the modern toon-style graphics popularized by recent indie titles. This graphic style also allows for what I believe is the most expressive and emotive iteration of Link in any Zelda title. I love seeing the suspicion or anger or happiness that was so clearly readable on Link's face. The Wind Waker finds Link exploring the open seas on a small sailboat in a very vast and open game world. The Wind Waker especially excels at the same thing a lot of the other Zelda titles do well, which is immersive world building. The Wind Waker's world feels immersive and real because the characters and events in the world are well written enough to make it feel that way. There's a part of the game not too far into the Wind Waker where Link needs to crawl through a maze of tunnels underneath Windfall Island. There's nothing in the main storyline of the game that will specifically or directly prompt you to crawl through these tunnels. This is just a hidden optional side quest. Once you reach the end of the tunnels, you'll find a treasure chest with a pictograph box, which is an item that kicks off several more side quests, but what struck me about this pictograph quest was the inclusion of some readable text next to the treasure chest where you find the pictograph box. The text explains that there was a thief who was imprisoned, presumably for stealing the pictograph box, and who dug a series of tunnels below Windfall Island in an attempt to find a way to escape the prison cell. This was pretty cool to me, and a neat example of the high quality of writing and world building on display in the Wind Waker. You see, the game could have just made you crawl through a maze and then simply given you the pictograph box. But the fact that they include this little story that justifies the level design in a believable way adds some realism and fidelity to the world in the Wind Waker. This game is also not without its faults. I think the stealth section that occurs in the beginning of the game is really tedious, too long, and one of the weakest parts of the game. I can remember having a poor first impression of this game and thinking on my first playthrough how dull this stealth part of the game was. And then right after introducing stealth to you, the game promptly drops it and never revisits it for the rest of the game. Plus, there's a few too many mandatory fetch quests with repetitive and boring sailing sections near the end of the game, which I think was partially remedied in the Wii U HD version. But even with its faults, The Wind Waker is one of the strongest Zelda titles out there, and a perfect place to start if you've never played a game in this series before.